I'm going to show this as best I can. Now, I'm not the best, but at least I would. I'm going to show this to you the best that I can. I'm not the best at 3D work, but this is for the brake pedal to put the original transit switch into the BMW box. I'll show you the actual box, but there's a square that it needs to sit into, and then a tube that it's going to fit through, and then I've just offset the hole just ever so slightly over to the edge, and hopefully that's going to be just about perfect. So I'm going to slice this up now on the software. What I've used here is Tinkercad, which is like I think the simplest 3D modelling software. So I'll just slice this up now, and then I'll try and 3D print it, and we'll try that out. This is what I've just 3D printed. So as you can see, it's got the square on it there, which will go into that square there, and then a bush to allow it to fit. So I'll give it a quick try now, and it's offset as well to get it in line. I'll show you why. Alright, so there it is fitted in place. There's still a tiny little bit of play in it, so I think I'm going to make one that's about 2 mil deeper. It locks in, it works, but I think I'm just going to make one a little bit deeper. The reason why it's got play in it, let me show you. So the actual design of this, the way that it clips in, and do it with one hand, you just sort of move it across and then lock it, so it's not super tight. So I'll make another. I think what I'll do as well, I'll make the square a little bit more prominent, and I'll make this maybe 2 mil thicker. Alright, so I've made the cylinder bit a little bit deeper, and I've doubled the little square as well. So I'll give that a quick print now, and we'll have a look. So we'll go brake switch 2, and then export STL file, and then go into, this is the slicer, go to that one. This is the little model. Literally all we do is press slice, and it'll take 28 minutes to do it. Save to removable, and then that puts it onto this. Alright, so select brake switch, start printing. It's now just got to heat up, and it will make the thing. While it's heating up, I'm just going to take off the bits from the last one I made. So I'll come back once it's started. Here's the new version, and give this one a try. Alright, so this fits fine now. Still got a little bit of movement, but as you can see, hopefully the button's completely depressed. So bang on, get it wired in. This is what I've come up with for my dials. So I've got a GPS speedo, volt gauge, fuel gauge, new one, water temperature and oil pressure, and then we've got the indicators, brake light, and I can't remember if I put something in there, but there's a headlight there and the fog lights. So I need to mess around getting all the wiring done, so I had to rip off all the circuit boards, but I'll try and show a little bit of that. Just wired up the lights section of the clocks and the speedo, so I'll just show you how that looks. So that's how that's going to look, and then obviously I've got my other lights there that I need to wire up yet, but I also need to wire up all the voltage, and got loads of wires to wire up on the back, as you can see. Right, so I'm just about done for the night, but I thought I'd just show you trialing this out. So I've got the volts on now correctly to the bench supply there. Obviously I've not got the fuel gauge wired up, or the temp or the oil, but I've got the wiring done at the back. I'll show you. So if I've put that on, there's my main beam, left indicator, brake light warning, sorry, fog light, and right hand indicator. So hopefully I'll be able to get them all wired into the car, or into the truck rather. I'm not sure whether to try and make it so that they all, and there's a quick view with them all on. So it turned out quite good. I'm pretty pleased with it. I'd rather have used the BMW ones if I could, but it's just not realistic, especially because I needed a different speedo. Here is the back of my cluster that I've made. So I've put two different plugs on. I've got 12 wires coming out the cluster. There's an earth on this one which goes to all the warning lights, and then on this one for the dials, this goes inside so that I can still pull the cluster out the front of the housing, and I can still access all of the individual bulbs. What I need to do is, at this point here, I think, just need to feed a cable tie through, just to cable tie them on, so that the two cables don't snag and start pulling at any of this. It's all soldered in, so there's no, they're not going to come out, but just to take any strain off, like look at that, it's properly soldered, and then it's squashed in as well. So, but to take any strain off, obviously I just want a cable tie, and then I'll use some loom tape from maybe here downwards just to neaten it up. But I've used the waterproof connectors I've got set there just to make it a little bit easier for taking it in and out and stuff like that. So I'm going to take this to the truck now. Need to start connecting up the battery and think about wiring the other end in. I've got my labourer painting up my calipers now. He's just on the front hub.
Small G, I would say, but of course when I was on Good Morning Britain this morning, that was the first thing.
Another video, just doing bits and pieces really today. Oh sorry, not another video, it's still going to be the end of the old one this. Yeah, I'm just doing bits and pieces. So I've had to get a new near side hub, because when I took off the old one, this is how someone had left it. It's a big grind mark there, and this is all chewed up. So I've sourced a new one. The only thing is, I'll just show you how Alex left it yesterday when he painted up all my calipers and my hub. I've got a new anti-roll bar drop link in. I've decided I'm going to change the bottom ball joint and the trap rod end as well. I've got a new stub axle. I was going to use the ball joint, looks like it's been replaced, but my nuts and bolts were knackered. They've all cross-threaded, so they were seized, obviously. So I think they're 12-13 quid each, so I'm just going to change both bottom ball joints. I ordered 2 right hand side drop links, so I need to order a new one of them anyway. And then the trap rod end that came with the new one's absolutely fine, but for what they cost, I'm just going to put a pair on, then we'll have no problems. It's all copper grease, so it'll come off easy enough. I've changed the flexes, I've put the gearbox mount back on. Inside the engine bay, can't remember what I showed, but mass cylinder servos in, tightened up all the brake pipes, got the brake pipes in to the calipers, over to that side as well, and then down to the front. Got the clutch lining ready. As you see, the gearbox mount is in, battery mount, started getting the lights wired in, got the earth ready to go there. This side's done. I need to put some sort of earth in for this wire here, so I'm going to do that now. Not sure where I'm going to put it. I was going to weld some in, if you remember, but I never bothered in the end. I might actually, these are the mounts for the fuse box on riv nuts, so I might actually just go onto one of them, but it's sort of an indirect fitting. Or I might just clean up a section of this and put a bolt there, similar to what I've done here. In fact, that's what I think I'll do, because I want to. Right, so I'm now just working on getting the heater controls mounted into the dashboard. So got it in fiberglass. I'm now going to try and pull it out again. Right, so here's the dash cluster in place. It's not wired up fully because I've still got to do the fuel gauge, the oil, and obviously water temperature, because the engine's not currently in. But if I just turn the ignition on, first click, we've got nothing. Put everything on the second, so now the speedo gets its live, and obviously we're showing volts on the volt gauge. So I put the lights on, first click for the side lights, we get the lights light up on the dash. Put the headlights on, obviously nothing happens. If we flash the main beam, you can see the main beam there is flashing. Put the hazards on, obviously both sides, and then indicators, and we've got indicators. So it's looking good, all working as I'd hoped, and I think that's just going to look really neat in the cluster. Started tidying up the wiring. Just need to loom up. I can loom up one side, but this is the plug I've used for the actual gauges. So I can loom up the lights, the indicator lights. So I'm finally in a position to start thinking about putting this engine back in. All my bits and pieces have arrived, so I'll show you. I've just stuck them on basically, but we've got new brake discs on, new pads, new trap rod ends, new bottom ball joints, new tie rod ends. I've painted up the other bits, got new brake flexes in. I've painted the calipers just to tidy them up a little bit. Still need a little touch up, and I need to do the nut cover there. So it's all looking pretty neat. For the power steering, what I found is this pipe here was 8mm. So I've knocked on a compression 8mm fitting, which hopefully will hold, and the BMW one is 10, so I've put a 10mm compression fitting on that, all in brass. No idea if it's going to hold, but I'm going to give it a go rather than have one made up at this stage. I've just got to put some clips in for the wiring and stuff like that, but I'm going to get the engine in before I do that, just in case I put something in that's going to be in the way. Or do I just... No, I think I'm just going to do it. Here, I've got this in place now. Just got to put a bit of sealant around it. I'll put a bit of black panel adhesive around once the pipes are in. I think I'm going to go for the BMW washer bottle there. I'm going to 3D print a little base for it to sit on, so I can put some rivets down onto the chassis rail and an extension piece over there as well. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stick the wheels back on and I'm going to roll it back and have a bit of space again. Managed to slide the engine in. I've not tightened down the mounts or anything yet. I've not got the gear selector in, which I need to do. Just going to start by getting the wiring fed through the slot there and starting to just tidy up this bay a little bit. Because I've lowered the engine down on the new mounts, I've now got a bit more space as well where the air conditioning is going to connect to. I think this one's going to have to just twist around a little bit though. Fortunately it will. Loads of space to get the pipes through. Quick look where I'm up to here. So I've got the radio in just to make sure all the wiring works for that okay. Dashboard's in, that's all working okay. I've got water temperature working, oil pressure. Fuel gauge is wired up to the existing. It seems to be actually doing something. Volt gauge obviously works. Sat nav, sorry, the speedo. I've not got the GPS signal to that yet. Got the intercooler mounted back on. I'm just going to put a couple more rivets in just to make sure that stays, and I might just put a strap around it as well at some point. All the pipe work's done now onto the turbo. For now I'm just going to put a filter in. I did make this to divert over, 3D printed it, but I need some what's it called? I need some different filament that'll take the temperature, and I'm probably going to angle it that way as well. It was just a trial that. So what I'm going to do now, I've got the water hose on here. I'm just going to get that hose up to the header tank. I've got new header tank. I've got the radiator to go on. I've got no mounts for the radiator, so what I'm going to do is drill and tap this, or I've actually left space and put a bolt through, so I can put some sort of bracket on there. And I need to sort something out to hold the front panel on. So I'll crack on with that now. Alright, quick little bit on the radiator. So what I've ended up doing is the Transit's original radiator. I've folded a piece of steel and I'm using the BMW fan without the shrouds on the back, and essentially that's going to fit on like that. I'll just screw it on now and I'll show you how I've done it. So it did take a little bit of messing, but the way that I've got this now, the radiator surround, the fan surround fits right in between the Transit radiator. Same at the top, it hooks on in the original position. I had to mount a bit more onto the edge of it, and then I've put some riv nuts in this piece I've made at the bottom. And then what I'll do is, once it's finished, I'll just put a small bead of body filler around the outside of this, and then that'll seal that to that. And then, as you can see there, this is riv nutted on this to the radiator, so this will all be one piece. So if I ever need to change the radiator, it's just a case of hook the actual original radiator out of this surround which I've built. and I'll show you how that then mounts onto the truck. Just getting back to doing this truck, I've got the engine in now. I'm just doing a vacuum test, as you can see, on the air conditioning, just to make sure that's okay now that everything's back in place. Not done any filming for a bit because I've been a little bit frustrated, to be honest with you. I'm having an issue hot starting it, so it'll start normally when it's cold, but it only just catches. So I've changed the fuel pump. I'm getting 4.5 bar of pressure when it's running. I've got a gauge on it at the moment. I'm going to do a leak off test on the injectors, but I haven't got a clue how to do it yet. So I'll show you what I've bought. So this is what I've bought. I'm just going to do a quick Google search, quick YouTube check, and hopefully I'll figure out how to use it, because my wife is sick of it. The truck in here, so I've got a car in the back garden and it's getting warmer in here. Can't remember how I left it last time, but we're getting there. Got an aerial in for the radio now, starting to get the headlining back in place. I need a couple of new sun visors if anyone's got any for sale. Fit an electric window kit to this door, to the driver's door. I've not done the passenger door yet, but I've got the loom in place to fit it and wire it up. I will show the fitting of that. I've just used a universal kit, which is one of these. It seems to work okay, so I'll show you the fitting of the passenger side.